up, everyone? Peace and blessings. Welcome to episode 35 of Aspire to Inspire. I am so excited to be interviewing singer, actor, dancer Nile Bullock. You guys might have seen him. He recently filmed Derek D-Wiz Washington on the hit television show Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. His work credits also include playing a co-star in the Netflix film 7 Seconds, and he also landed a guest star role on Chicago Med, among so much more. Guys, I'm going to bring him onto our virtual stage so you guys can get a glimpse of who he is and what he is about.
Yo, yo, yo.
Hey, Niall, how are you?
What's up? I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Listen, I know I already gave you my thanks before starting this, but again, thank you so much for joining me on Aspire to Inspire, where we interview industry professionals. And I'm just so excited to just jump in to know who you are and hear your inspiring story. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me here today. This is amazing what you're doing here. I love this setup. This is dope. So
yeah, I gotta keep things nice, keep things fresh and clean.
Yeah, this is clean. I was watching the intro like, damn, this is clean. It's fire.
Thank you. But without further ado, we're just gonna jump right into this with a basic starter question. Tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. Who is Nile Bullock?
Oh, sheesh. Where do I start? So, I was born in New York City, Manhattan. I lived in Harlem for about 3 months of my life as a baby, and my parents got me the heck out of there. And I moved to New Jersey, which is where I currently live. So technically, I like to jack the fact that I'm from New York, but technically I'm not at the same time, But I grew up here in Teaneck, New Jersey, and I'm an actor, singer, and dancer. Kind of come from a family of artists. My mom's a singer. My dad's a bass player. My brother also likes to sing, dance, and act as well. So,
Aww, that's so nice. You have like a whole community for yourself of people who are doing the same thing you are. Having that tight-knit family to, be like compatible with. I think that's just, that's so important to have that around.
It's amazing. I'm very, very blessed, to have the family that I have, because, I know that when it comes to the arts, sometimes it's hard to find support, towards sometimes friends, sometimes family, sometimes people are a little bit less, don't always see a career in the arts, but it definitely exists. And, I'm so grateful to have my family by my side. They pushed me and they've been nurturing me from the start. So, yeah.
And I love that about you. Right off the bat, you gave praise to your family.
100%.
Yeah, for understanding your passion in life and being able to execute it with that family support. That's just the icing on top of the cake for success, honestly. So, that actually kind of leads me to my next question for you. You dabbled a little bit about acting. You're a dancer, a singer, an actor. I have to ask you, what, in a sense, what moment in your life did you start taking acting as a profession?
That's a really, really good question. It's funny because acting wasn't really my first love. If I'm being completely honest, dance was what I knew, what I really wanted to do first. And my parents instantly put me in class. They got me in training, and I started really taking that seriously. And then I picked up singing. Actually, I think that kind of came second through my mother. And then acting kind of just came. My parents kind of randomly put me in an open call for the management that I'm with now. And shout out to Edge Talent also, by the way. We which was Shirley Grant Management at the time. But I kind of just randomly went in there, and I auditioned. I ended up getting signed, and then I just kept going out, consistently. I feel like honestly, I feel like I just always loved, when I started doing acting. Actually, before it was kind of like in the middle where I got signed, and when I was kind of also just still floating, I actually would do I'm like completely Xing this out of my life. I
Right.
used to do theater at this place called the Garage Theater Program at Fairleigh Dickinson University, which is by me. So I used to do little productions over there. And I feel like doing that just kind of started to just build my love to be on stage and just to perform. So I feel like that was definitely a big moment in my life that kind of pushed me into acting. And then when I started getting into, actually going in to studios and auditioning for, casting agencies, that's when, a different shift came and I started to embrace the camera, being, in front of the camera world and all that. But I started with theater, mainly. But yeah, I feel like that was that played a big role, definitely just into getting into that. I wanted to say when I booked my first guest star role, but I feel like those that really kind of just shaped me, coming from just, loving to be on stage, and that was so much fun. It was so funny because I was like 8, 9 years old, and I was in the program that I was in was usually all high school kids. So like the productions that I would be in, there wouldn't even be like roles for my age bracket that I was in. So it's like, you know what? Let's just give him some random, I'll play a little brother like one of the characters. And it was, I loved it over there. That was so much fun. I did a bunch of productions. So yeah.
What's so beautiful about hearing people, especially people who are passionate, is just like really like vibing with someone who it's just not about understanding it, but just knows it for themselves that this is not only just a business, but this is something that you love and it's willing, you're willing to take chances and to continue doing this for however long you want to be doing this.
Right.
And I love how you hit on theater being kind of the foundation of it all, of your singing, of your dancing, of your acting. Because I know from my background, I definitely came from a theater background. And like a lot of training, coaches say like theater is the foundation for acting. And then, you branch out to film and television and things like that. So I want to ask you, Nile, do you have a personal preference? You say that theater is your love, but you also have credits for film and television. Do you have a favorite?
Definitely TV. I'm not gonna lie. It's like theater, and I love theater. That's not dumbing down theater at all. Theater is beautiful. I love Broadway. I love it all, But acting, there's just a certain pace when you do get behind the camera and when you are doing the work that is just it's unlike anything else. It just feels supernatural just in the workflow. Kind of depending. Sometimes it depends on the projects that you're working on, but once I just started stepping full, foot, and I started working more specifically in camera. It just, I fell in love most definitely just because, it's so much fun, it's a great time, I don't even know what to say. It's just an amazing experience.
No, I mean, it's rendering you speechless. I mean, it's a whole nother world, but it's so much appreciation with film and both theater. Like they're two great things, but I understand when you love something more than the other. And you still love theater, and you can lean back to it.
Yes.
But I understand, film and television. That is a different world, and it's like a type of mindset and practice that goes into.
Absolutely. And I encourage all actors to always look back to theater because theater, that's where you're going to find your monologues. That's where you're going to find scenes that you can prepare for auditions and just stuff that you can naturally practice, that keeps you in that pocket, which works for both sides of the story. So yeah, theater is definitely the foundation. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. So that actually leads into my next question. You're talking about theater, always being there, always having that back cushion of theater training. There's a lot of misconception that people have in regards to the job of an actor or the training of an actor. In your personal opinion now, what are the major misconceptions that, some people might come up to you and ask about acting that you heard from, if you can relate to that?
That's a really good question. I found that mainly through TV because, we all know, especially depending on the series that you're working on, like, Power Book 3 for me, that was one of my biggest projects that I've been able to work on. Yeah, probably one of my favorites when it comes to TV so far. It was great. But TV is very eye catching, for a lot of people. So when they did see Power along with the other guest star roles that I've done in the past, I feel like a lot of people, not even just people who actually are in acting, people would come up to me and be like, "Yo, how do I get started?" And I'm like, okay, well, first things first, make sure that you're in class, because some people do think, I do think some people get the perception that that you can just jump into it. That just goes for acting in general,
Yeah.
but I don't know. People do think. I remember certain things, like I did have to do an intimate scene in Power, and I think people thought that like I was actually had to be like involved in doing the practice, and I was like, no, it's not like that. Like there's certain things that when it comes to intimate scenes, intimacy scenes, you get like one-on-one time with the person you're working with. When it comes to scenes where you're doing stunts, of course, you get one-on-one time with the stunt guys, with stunt trainers. And I do think, certain people do think that you're literally in it sometimes, with certain things. But it's no, it really depends on who you're working with, what the rhythm of the scene might be, but it's definitely always make sure that you're in class as an actor. We got to take class. We got to study. We got, we're doing everything that a college student would be doing, or a high school student. There's homework that you need to be doing. I feel like some people think that there's not a whole bunch of homework that needs to go down, but there is plenty of homework that needs to be done. Trust me, just when it comes to memorization and stuff like that. But I feel like, when it comes to training for theater on camera, they all kind of fall under the same bracket. It's just doing your research, really studying the character, finding relativity in the character and stuff like that. There's so much stuff that goes into it. But yeah.
Listen, y'all just had a one-on-one acting class with Nile Bullock, honestly, and
break it down just a little bit.
that's one-on-one with training, man. Like a lot of people. That's I think that's really the thin line between actors who say they want it and actors who actually do it.
Exactly.
It's that fine line between the training.
Right.
And what are you doing when you're not,
exactly
taping or auditioning, like waiting around for someone to see you, or you actually, reading, or you actually taking Zoom classes, which honestly you should utilize. You can train anywhere in the world.
Most definitely.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, thank you so much for just, preaching about
Absolutely. That. And that's one thing that I've just noticed as being an artist, specifically just speaking to artists in general, it's so much patience comes with this, like literally, you can't, it's kind of hard to say, but you can't expect stuff to happen. It just doesn't work like that. Like I've been, it's a long time coming, and you have to be hungry enough to deal with, days when you might find yourself sitting around. But then exactly just like how you're saying, how do you utilize those days when work isn't coming in? Are you going on, and if you're auditioning for, they're making reboots for so much stuff. So, you got to go back, watch movies, see what's going on. There's so much stuff that goes into it. It's tedious, but most definitely, when you got that hunger, you put the work in, most definitely. So,
Amen. Yes. And it's so beautiful to hear that from someone who's, in the entertainment industry. Like you're doing your thing. You booked so much. Chicago Med. 7 Seconds, the film, and Power, Book 3, Raising Kanan. Like that's, that's only building you to be stronger and to you to be more out there in the world, and for people to recognize and see your work. And I just kind of blurted out all the things that you were a part of. I know there's so much more, And my next question kind of follows up about, the projects you were a part of. I ask you, what makes a role a good fit for you? Are there certain qualities that you look for in order to be a part of a project, or is there something that draws you to, a role that you want to audition for? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, most definitely. That's another great question. These are all great questions.
Oh.
Yeah, it's funny because I felt myself evolve almost a little bit in this area, because I remember at one point getting certain auditions where it would be like, oh, I kind of want something that really embodies just me as a person, something that really showcases maybe my talent in other fields too. Like, I remember like, and I'm still to this day, it'd be great to play like a role where I get to show my musical side too and stuff like that. I remember that used to be like especially when I wanted to be a Disney Channel kid. Oh my gosh, it was like that or nothing else.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Or nothing else. And then I just did a complete, 180, which comes just with the work that you get, as you get older, that just naturally happens. But now I actually find myself really longing for roles that are the complete opposite of my personality. Like when I got to play D-Wiz in Power, that was one of my most challenging roles yet. Because yeah, if you've seen Power Book 3, D-Wiz is a rough kid. He's tough. He's a killer.
Listen. I'm not judging. I mean, you're the actor. I ain't judging.
But being able to step into that, stepping out of my comfort zone and really having to do that digging, it just becomes, it's kind of like exercising or just any other thing. You the more and more that you start to go for parts like that, and the more and more that you find yourself having to break down and really get surgical with the material, that's that stuff that you want, because it's helping you build, and it's just, it feels really good. I just really I always love making skits, kind of coming. I used to make like Musical.lys and stuff like that before it became TikTok. For kids who remember, and I just remember always kind of like putting on different characters. I would change costumes and stuff like that. So like being able to just really step into a character with a completely opposite mindset, I really enjoyed that. And I had a couple other roles like that. I think my prominent role, I feel like that really kind of just where I had to really kind of, really get surgical with the character, was a short film that I worked on called The Subject, that was about this kid growing up in Harlem and having to deal with getting initiated into a gang, but also wanting to pursue an artistic lifestyle. So, it's roles like that, it just really resonated with me. I remember at one point too, I wanted to touch on this a little bit just because, especially me being a young Black male, I did go through a phase where I was a little bit frustrated with getting thug-like character.
Ooh, talk about it.
That used to play with me, and it still does get me on a day-to-day basis, because it's just how it is, but at the same time, when I finished Power and I took the time to kind of just go through the comment section and look at people's, responses to, D-Wiz, just my performance in the overall show. And especially with D-Wiz, who I don't want to, spoil anything, but it really stuck with people. And I was blown away, because, I feel like I got caught up with, the short amount of time that I had too. It was so amazing, but it was also like, it almost felt like in and out to me, at the same time. But it's when I really saw the effect that it had with people and the people who were messaging me, and, it really just hits you in that spot, especially coming up with kids who going to school with some kids who actually lived that lifestyle, and could relate to D-Wiz. Hearing people say I can relate to this character is what. Those are the type of roles that really I've learned to just kind of gravitate to, now, and just watching that effect that it has on people and watching the effect that it has on me. It's just, it's very powerful, and it plays a real big shape shifting role on just going forward, but yeah, most
Wow.
definitely, push. I always encourage people, push for roles that don't be afraid of things that are going to push you out your comfort zone,
Mm.
because that's what's going to help you grow. Literally, that goes for anything in life. So,
Wow.
yeah, most definitely.
Jeez Louise, that was beautiful, by the
Yeah.
way. Like you're really speaking
Thank
from
you.
the heart, and I can tell that, as a person who watched you, talking to you now,
Mm.
remembering you from, watching you on Power. It's a
Right.
similar moment because not only am I seeing someone who is passionate about their craft, but I'm seeing someone who not only resonates with the character on screen, but
Mhm.
hearing that there are some people who, comment on your page or comment on, your character and
Right.
saying like, yo, I relate to this character. Oh my gosh, this is so like truthful. And
Right.
I swear that is the most refreshing thing for us actors to hear, that we're
It's
playing
amazing.
roles that are relatable. And you're about to say something. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No,
that's
no, it's
beautiful.
fine. That's our job as actors, to tell these stories that certain people can't tell as well. But there's the realism and everything that goes on.
Mhm.
It's there, And with Power, I found that really powerful for me because I remember around. I'll touch on this real quick. There was somebody actually from my school who passed away recently, who I didn't really know super well, but uh, who, due to, you know, uh, stuff kind of related, with the show, which is going on, and I only, I didn't know this kid super well, but I remember coming out of Power and having, getting news on that situation. It kind of just, that correlation there, it was freaky, it's scary, but at the same time, it just made me have so much more um respect in not just my craft, but just for artists in general, especially with actors and these roles that we're taking on, because they're, it's a lot, some of them, it's very powerful. So you got to make sure, of course, that you're taking care of yourself when you study for roles, when you are training. But it is very, very real, some these stories that we're telling, depending on the projects and the subject matter. And we're speaking for people who can't tell them their stories, themselves. So it's have
Wow.
respect in your craft as an actor. You got a powerful weapon there, powerful tool.
It is. It is. And thank you so much for sharing so much realism and making that connection. That's not a freaky moment. I like to think everything happens for a
For a
reason.
reason.
And
Right.
with that happening, you're playing such an important role. This is stuff happening in real life, and these type of stories deserve to be told, deserve to have a light shine on them.
Mm-hmm.
And as a viewer, I admired your work. You did a
Thank
fantastic
you.
job on
Thank
the
you so
show.
much.
And I was just like, I gotta have him on here. I gotta have him on here. I have to. I have to. It's a priority for me. But
Absolutely. I'm so blessed to be here, and thank you so much for reaching out to me again. This is amazing.
it
Yeah.
was just a simple reach out. I'm glad you responded,
Of course.
without a doubt. But
Thank you.
let's dive a little bit deeper into the projects you've been a part of.
Sure.
And I'm pretty sure you had the opportunity of working with so many amazing people. Just being a part of Power itself, you had to learn so much from those group of people,
It's
your
definitely.
experience being there.
Mm.
What was one of the major lessons you learned from not only just being on Power, but the other productions, films, TV shows, even student films that you touched on earlier? What
Mm.
major things you learned?
Um, that's a really good question. um, so many things. It's almost hard to break it down just because they all came like in waves. One thing with Power specifically, and why it's so resonant with me, is also because the cast was predominantly black. And not only that, getting in certain rooms, like, you know, you don't see black directors behind the table a lot. You don't see black casting agents a lot. It's just, you don't see that, you know. And I remember just being in that space and coming into the room for the first time. It just felt like a whole different dimension that I was kind of stepping into. And it was just, there was a sense of comfortability too, you know, that comes with that. Because you feel like you're with your people, you know, just you're with your people. And being able to, in my, you know, years now, you know, just being an actor, I don't get into a lot of sets like that, you know, where I do see a whole bunch of people that look like me, you know, but it does play, you know, a big role in just stepping into certain settings, you know. But oh man, I just learned so much, you know. It's crazy. It's like, looking back on it, it's like I've grown up, you know, literally through each set, and everything's been like a different subject, different subject matter, you know, different experience. But, you know, just, it could be little things like catching your camera angle when you come out of a building or something, so, you know, people can see your face correctly. Or just even meeting, you know, over the pandemic, I got a lot further into music, because I wasn't acting as much, because, you know, stuff was at a shutdown almost, you know. But just meeting other people on set who are musically inclined, going through, you know, yeah, it's just, everybody has something else to bring to the table. And, you know, you start to see yourself more in certain people, you know. Shout out to Malcolm Mays on Power Book 3. He was giving me a whole bunch of just great advice on finding your camera angle, and just, you know, just life lessons just in general, you know, which was dope, you know. And you know, speaking to directors, just giving you certain tips, and you know, there's so much stuff that comes with it, and you just got to be willing. I feel like even just going to auditions and, you know, stepping into certain spaces, there's something to take away from, you know, that you learn about yourself, depending on the role that you get. So, you know, you have to have an open mind and just be willing to take instructions and just take advice, you know, from people, because everybody has something different, you know, to bring to the table. So yeah, there's so much stuff, so much that I've learned, and, you know, it just keeps going, you know. Each thing. Yeah.
And everything you said, it's so fundamental, because it sounds like to me you were in an area, a set, you were a sponge. You were soaking up any and everything that you can while you were there. And, you know, again, I'm just tying into how this pertains to life. If you're not that student that's absorbing everything around you, you know, I'm not trying to be too timid, you know, or also not trying to be so open that, you know, you're too much of a distraction, but finding that medium where you're able to be like, hey, you know, you got any tips about this, of how I should walk in, or certain things like that. Being inquisitive, it takes you so far. It takes you so far, because you're not there to just deliver lines anymore. You're there to be a student. And that's just so beautiful to hear, honestly.
Right.
I truly, truly love talking about this on this platform, because a lot of people don't know this. You know, those little things that could not necessarily put you ahead, but could, you know, get you further where you want to be in your career. Because, you know, maybe they was looking at you and be like, whoa, like, look how inquisitive he is with, like, the camera guy, or with, you know, the director, or with his castmates. Like, people watch you overall. Listen, I'm on a tangent. This is not my interview. This is yours.
No, I love it. This is a conversation that needs to be had too. You know, I don't get to talk about this all the time. You know, it's literally, you just have to be open. You have to be willing to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions ever. You know, when you're on sets, or even when you're in audition rooms. You know, with people. You know, just, you know, if you get a moment with somebody. You know, just ask questions. Have your phone out. Have a you know, notebook and a pen, just so you can jot stuff down. You know, and literally, you know, just be willing to work. That's all I'm saying, you know.
Yes, yes. Well said. Well said. So we're kind of transitioning over to, the projects you've been part of. And now we're going to get into your source of inspiration. So I ask you, Nile, who is your, the person, or it could be someone in the entertainment industry. It can be someone that you just look up to overall. Who inspires you, whether that's, singing, acting, dancing, whatever.
Oh man, there's too many to count. But you know who actually, like, I was thinking about this a couple of days ago because somebody asked me the same question. It's Michael B. Jordan, definitely 100%. He's I'm a big Michael B. Jordan fan. But Zendaya Coleman, that's my wife. I love her with a passion. I don't care. I'm putting it out there. I've loved her since I was a kid. But just watching her talent-wise, and I'm in love with Euphoria. That's one of my favorite shows. But I remember watching Euphoria. I don't know, to anybody else who's watched Euphoria knows this, but I remember seeing them in the show. They towards the ending of the first season, the finale, they had an episode where they completely her and Labyrinth came together on a song, and they just did like a whole production around it in the set. And I just thought that was so cool because I know they obviously had to reach out to her and be like, hey, like let's like showcase your talent in this show. Like you're killing it already as an actress, and like, let's just bring your music side. And so that's just been so cool. I remember coming up and watching her, like going to concerts and stuff. It's just that balance that she has between her music too and her acting. Cause I'm super passionate about music too. Right. It's just super inspiring to watch her, grow up. Also watching her, come from Disney into playing these roles that she's playing now, which are a lot more intense. Right. But it's also, it's a part of growing up, as an, an actress, as an actor, as an actor. That's one thing, I always say, because I found, like, as I play these roles where I have to do more on set and do stuff that, again, takes me out of my comfort zone, I've learned to just, you gotta accept it sometimes, because it can get you nervous, and even, you might be worried about what people are gonna say sometimes, like, oh, did you see what Nile was doing on this show? What he had to do? I remember when Nile was 10 years old and he asked, but it's like, literally, you're growing up through this, which is, and I think just watching her, take that path, big inspiration. Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P., God rest his soul. Amazing. There's so many people that I could count. Michael Jackson is probably one of my biggest inspirations, just in general. There's so many people. The list goes on and on. But those are some of my tops.
Yeah. I mean, you hit on all of my tops. I mean, those are I view them as the greats in our time.
Yeah.
Obviously, Michael B. Jordan, he's kind of evolving with his roles that he's been playing right now. We're seeing a lot of different sides of him now. Zendaya, I'm just glad she came out of Disney successfully.
Exactly.
Killing the game.
Let's talk about that too. That's and I didn't even want to get on that for a second, because I know it can be kind of touchy, but it is very hard. Again, mainly for Black actors to come out of Disney and get into prominent roles like that. It's they do get kind of seen as the Disney kids after that, which is completely fine too. But it's watching her take that step is what's, I always liked, just personally for me, releasing some sort of content, whether it's me acting or just making music or just posting stuff that makes people go like, oh, yeah, he could do that, or I didn't know that this is a side that he has. Because even if it makes people tilt their head a little bit, it's like, hey, this is still a part of me, and this is what I can also bring to the table. Watching people being able to take that step that really shows that other side of them, or it's amazing to watch. So yeah, most definitely.
Wow. Yes. And I'm glad, just glad to see that. As I'm gonna, as a Black woman, seeing her, as a a Black male like yourself seeing Michael B. Jordan and seeing the work of the late Chadwick Boseman,
right?
Honestly, it just, not that it levels the playing field, but it shows what's possible in this entertainment industry, and they could do it. The saying, you can do it as well.
Right.
It's beautiful to have that source of inspiration, knowing that they came from, a background probably just like ours. They hustle just as hard as we are right now. And for viewers watching, this platform is to show what hard work and dedication turns out to be. And also, when you hit the big screen and your name's in lights, I can say that you are my guest. And I could have that in my YouTube channel.
Same to you. Let's talk about it. Yes, let's manifest that for the both of us, most definitely, because this, it's just looking back on everything over the last couple of years, even those times where you feel like stuff isn't moving the way that you want to, there's something to be learned, in that, and you always got to sit back and acknowledge the work that you have done, so far. That's one thing that I've kind of learned to do, getting into this point after finishing Power and stuff like that, because I'm a very much what's next. What's the next thing, and I find that sometimes it makes it hard for me to live in the moment, especially as I get older, because it's like, okay, 21, I gotta get it. I'm running out of time. What's going on, So like, I've learned to push back and be like, hey, you know what? Let me pat myself on the back real quick and then hop back into my work progress. It's okay to say, yeah, you did that. You did a good job. Like, make sure that you do that as an artist. Most definitely. But
what's also beautiful, I'm gonna just touch on this because it's on my heart right now, is that you talked about, oh my God, I'm 21. I'm not doing enough. Oh my God, I gotta get this.
Right.
Literally me.
100%. And we're in the middle of a pandemic too, so it's like,
don't get me started.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just want to testify towards this, because this is why I created this. This was the birth of me asking, what the heck am I going to do with my life? And if God willing, if acting isn't it, what can I have that I can have my identity in, or pride in, or I can call my baby, in a sense. And honestly, this came about with that question that you asked, what am I supposed to do next? I'm in my 20s. What in the world am I supposed to do in this time of the pandemic and everything being virtual? And
look what you're doing. You're growing an empire. You're on your, what is this, episode 35 now?
Episode 35.
Episode 35. I'll hit 50 soon. That's freaking amazing. That's dope, girl. So make sure that you keep this up. Most definitely. This is amazing. But that's always, and I felt like with the pandemic too, I'm sure most people can agree, especially artists, it put us to work, because we were like, shit, what the heck we gonna do? And for me, like, that's I as much it was frustrating, I just learned to also say thank you to the universe for wreaking havoc. That also made me wake up at the same time, because that's when I started approaching music more, and making beats and stuff like that, and just working in every area that I love. I love it all: dancing, singing, acting. I want to do all of that until the day that I drop. I don't. People ask me too, like, oh, which one do you love more than the other? I'm like, nah, I just like making art. It's it goes a bunch of different ways. So it's always definitely make sure that you're experimenting, try new things. Don't be afraid to just get uncomfortable. That's how you learn. That's how you stepping forward.
Yes, talk about it. And kind of, we're on the topic of manifesting right now, and just speaking what you want out there into the world, into the universe, and I'm sure 100% it will come back to you.
Right.
With the entertainment industry and everything kind of quickly changing, and I know they're kind of saying like things are kind of being back to normal. I don't think so. With everything that's going on.
Right.
I ask you, Nile, where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years down the line? And I ask you this because you can be as big of a dreamer as you want with this question. And I again, I'm a strong believer in manifestation and
Right. Me
speaking
too.
what you want out there. What do you want to see yourself doing, 5 to 10 years in the future?
Oh man, everything. I can't. It's too much. Taking over the planet would even be an understatement, to be completely honest. Like there's so much stuff that I want to get done in so many different areas. With acting, I definitely just want to work more. I would love to have a series regular role on a show. I would love to have a chance to work on a blockbuster movie, do something like that. That would be amazing. But at the same time, I also want to have time one day where I can have a big enough following in music where I can go on tour, too, somewhere in the midst of that, and just, maybe have a song on the radio. Maybe not. That doesn't even have to happen, but I would definitely love to tour one day, just tour the world, and yeah, on your screen 24/7, something, whatever it is. I don't know what it's gonna be. I just know that yeah, that's my main focus right now. Kind of just it jumps like all over the place, but I see myself being successful, in some way, shape, or form. I see what I'm doing now times 100 million, a billion. So yeah, it's most definitely.
Yeah. That's so wonderful to hear. Because, I'm not going to lie, there's just not a lot of people who just see the vision like you do.
Right.
And I think, as a person who has this type of platform, I encourage people to dream big. I encourage people to go beyond the limits of, what your parents may have done, or what your families may have done, or what your circle may have done. Because again, I'm gonna say these cheesy quotes, but they're true. If you never leap, how will you know what it's like to fly?
There you go.
For the day.
No.
Yeah, I ask you that because it's so much truth in what you're saying, and you believe it wholeheartedly. And I think God, the universe, He hears you, they hear you, and all it will do is just come back in full circle. You're already making the paved way for yourself. All you just have to do is keep going.
And another thing that I want to say, to the more and more that you push forward, especially just in acting that I've seen, everything does come back full circle. It's the people that I've worked with, like, is one more thing I'm gonna say about Power specifically. Makai, who plays Kanan in the series. Makai and I worked on a Chuck E. Cheese commercial and a Honda commercial when we were 9-10 years old. I had a flip phone, or I don't even think I had a cell phone at the time, so we couldn't even connect. And then flash forward, I'm 21 now, and we're working on Power Book 3. I'm looking at this kid like, hey, nice to meet you. How's everything going? Then the first day of set, I remember we did not know each other the first table read day. And he comes like the first day of set, like, yo, bro, we did a Honda commercial together. I was like, no way, man. No way. We did 2 commercials when we were freaking children. And we just, because at the time, iPhones weren't popping like that. Like, everything was different, and now it's just like literally, it's a small world in the art community as it is huge at the same time. Like, you're always going to see those people that you see auditioning right next to you. One day you're going to end up working right next to them. Like, literally, you just got to have faith that it's coming. I always I remember coming up before I started doing more guest star roles. I was doing extra work, like going into auditions. Don't be afraid to do extra work and your starting days as an actor. That's another thing too, being able to to go into casting rooms and, you know, meet with the director and then go see them on set, you know, even if it's as an extra, that says a lot, you know, because you still showed up and you're putting in that work and you're showing that you want to be there and be in the mix. So, you know, it's just, you know, stuff, everything comes full circle. That's, matter of fact, I'm gonna make that a quote. That might be like my mom. Everything comes full circle the more and more that you just push for it. So yeah.
Yeah, that speaks your story, honestly. Yeah, market that for yourself. Circle, man. And I thank you for sharing that story. That, you know, again, not a lot of people hear about this type of stuff. And when I'm saying like people, I'm talking about, you know, actors who want to understand the business and understand how to break in, you know, people DMing you or commenting like, how can I get into this? You know, yeah, there's training, but also, you know, build that community, you know. Like, I love how you said, like, yo, you might go into this audition room, look at this person right next to you auditioning for the same thing. You might be working together in the future. And your story literally spoke that into existence. You know? That happened for you, that manifested for you.
Right.
And it's just, you know, it just comes down to being a kind person and being able to just, you know, be workable at the end of the day, you know, be compatible with other people. But that full circle moment, that was beautiful.
It's crazy, you know, it's, and you just see it the more and more. I feel like you keep going forward. So yeah, most definitely.
Yes. Actually, we're winding down my last question for you. Thank you so much.
Fun, man.
I have like a million thank yous that I'm going to be saying throughout the end. You know, this is just so enlightening, so inspiring, and that's what this platform is about. So without further ado, Nile Bullock, you know, how do you desire to use your platform, you know, being a singer, dancer, actor, you know, how do you desire to use your platform to inspire other people, your followers, you know, anyone you come in contact with?
Yeah, I just want people to know that it's completely okay to be yourself. You know, it's that's one of my ways. Like with my work, you know, as I get older and as I you know, my content changes, you know, whether it's me working on a show, whether it's just me making homemade content from home, you know, I try to keep it always 100% naturally me, you know. And sometimes, you know, people have a hard time taking that in at first, you know, but, you know, depending on whatever it is that you're doing. But the more and more that you're just consistent, people are always going to pay attention. Somebody is paying attention always, especially all this posting that we're doing on social media, especially platforms. Somebody is always watching with social media. And that's one thing that I've learned. You know, there's been people who approached me that I wouldn't think ever in my life. I'm like, how the heck do you know who I am? But it's like literally, you know, just I want especially youngins to understand in this generation that, you know, even though people might feel like, especially in the artistic world, that it might be oversaturated when it comes to, you know, music, for an example, or stuff like that. It's easy to feel kind of let down with music these days because people kind of turn to what's trending, you know, and what's doing this and that. And I say, screw all that. Just do what makes you happy. Literally, you are your own best friend, 100%. That is, surround yourself with people who want to see you do well, but make sure that you got your back at the end of the day. And because I feel like that's what keeps me going. The fact that I believe that I can do this, you know, literally, especially with, you know, even getting into music and stuff like that. I remember at one point I didn't even want to listen to the stuff that I recorded. And now I listen to it all the time because I grew, you know, and I kept working it. And I'm at a comfortable point where I can say, I'm proud of this, you know, and this is only going to keep going up from here. And if I can listen to if I can watch my stuff, if you can watch your content and be okay with it, then you straight, you know, have faith in your process because it's going to hit somebody. Somebody's going to connect to it. It doesn't matter how big the amount is, how small. It just, the fact that you're touching people and you're reaching out and speaking on your life experience, somebody's gonna relate, you know. So just don't be afraid to be yourself. You know, I'm gonna show that through my roles. I want to show that through my music. And don't be afraid to play with characters. It's okay to step out of your zone and put on a show or like, you know, just embody whatever it is that helps you get your work done. You know, it's okay to put on, you know, I remember playing dress up. It's okay to play dress up too. You know, it's fun, you know, and just be yourself.
Out there. Put yourself out there. That's all.
Out there. And be wary. Of course, be careful about what it is that you're preaching, but don't be afraid either. Be fearless in your pursuit. 100%. Be patient and fearless in your pursuit.
Wow, wonderful words, Nile. Honestly, I am so full of I don't know what I'm feeling right now. It's just joy, excitement. Man, just a lot of questions answered. I should say.
I'm glad. I'm happy that I was able to clear up anything, or I'm just happy that I was able to talk to you today and be able to share this experience. So this is awesome. Thank you again so much. And shout out to everybody who watches this too. Y'all better keep watching this. Please.
Listen, I'll be telling them. But I mean, you said it yourself. So when you blow up, I'm gonna have this on my page over and over again.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Nile, I have no words. I'm speechless. You've rendered me speechless with everything that you've done, everything you've accomplished, and what you're still trying to do. It's all inspiring. I wish you the best with your career. It's only up from here, honestly. And you know, for the viewers watching, thank you so much for watching episode 35 of Aspire to Inspire. We're going to keep going with more guests from industry professionals. Now stick around. I'll talk to you towards the end. And for the sake of our viewers, thanks so much for watching. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye, y'all.